During Jesus' ministry, many times he used parables in order to teach. And I'm going to be talking today about one of the parables that he told in Matthew 13, but I'm going to come at this whole thing from the end, and then we're going to work our way back. So the last part of this parable that he was speaking on, the last verse, verse 9, it says, "Whoever has ears, let them hear." And I always love when Jesus says this when he's talking, "Whoever has ears, let them hear," because essentially what he's saying is, listen up. Because we all have ears, but are we always listening to what we hear? And so to me, this is Jesus saying, pay attention because this is important. Well, this passage in Matthew 13, he's talking about a farmer sowing his seed. And he says, as the seeds are scattered, some fell along the path and the birds came and ate them up, and some fell in rocky places and it didn't have much soil. So even though it came up quickly, as soon as the sun came out, it was scorched and it died. Then it says, other seed fell among thorns, which grew up, and the thorns choked out the plants. But this is where I want to focus today. It says, still other seed fell on good soil. That's verse 8, where it produced a crop 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. The cool thing about this particular parable is that if you flip over to the end of Matthew 13, or further on in it anyway, he explains what he means by this parable and what he's saying. And for me, I'm not a farmer. I'm not close to any people who farm. So these farming parables and shepherding and all of these things that are in the Bible, sometimes it's important to take a step back and think about what does it mean for the culture where everyone knew about farming, because it certainly isn't here in this place something that we're really all familiar with. I was recently watching a docuseries about a farmer, and when they got to the part where they were talking to him about the seed, he was very careful about how he stored his seed because it cost money, and he had an expectation based on how much seed he bought and how much seed he sowed, how much of the end product he would be able to reap. And it was all calculated and it was all figured out. So he was very careful on his land to be very careful with where he sowed the seed. And because he knew, based on previous years, based on all of the things, he knew what he would be able to bring in. In verse 18, Jesus says, "Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and doesn't understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed along the path. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time, and when trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke out the word, making it unfruitful. But then there's the seed that falls on good soil, and it refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown." As I think about this passage and I think about the fact that Jesus has laid it right out there, what's the parable, but then what does it mean? But I think about what does that mean for us? As seed is sown, either in our lives or in the lives of the people that we impact, have we prepared the soil? Are we ready to receive it? Because God will take what little we have, the few seeds that we sow, and he will multiply it and make it yield 100, 60, 30 times more. But it has to have the good soil first. The soil has to be prepared. And so it begs the question, am I preparing the soil in my life to be able to receive what God is instilling in me so that it is fruitful and multiplies? And as I make relationships with other people, and as I am out and God brings people into my path, am I preparing the soil so that they're ready to be ushered into the presence of God? I hope that I hope that you do look at Matthew 13 this week. I hope that you read through it and then ask, what does this mean for me, Lord? Because I do believe that his desire is to multiply the kingdom through us. Let's be ready.